So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to put the car on the ramps. So you guys can see we have two of these ramps, one on each side. That should give you enough clearance to be able to comfortably work underneath the vehicle and get to all the hardware to get the factory exhaust off and the new exhaust back on. You guys are going to have to bear with the conditions of the garage right now. It is a little messy here. But anyway, next what we want to do is we want to do a little inventory here of all the parts. Before we take anything apart, we want to make sure we have everything needed to put everything back together. So one of the reasons why we went with the ECS exhaust, it is one of the most budget-friendly valved options on the market today. I paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,200 to $1,300 around Black Friday for this exhaust. So you guys can see the welds actually look phenomenal. Here is the bracket for the valves on one side. That's the other side. Overall, the quality looks pretty darn good. So really excited to get this thing on here and obviously show you guys what it sounds like. The other reason why we chose this exhaust is there's not a lot of videos of people running this exhaust. So I figured, you know what, try something different. Also give you guys more exhaust options here on YouTube when you're making a decision for your very own RS3. Now that we see that we have every single component to be installed, we're gonna head on over to the car and we're gonna begin to take a look at what needs to be done for the factory exhaust to come out of its place. So the first thing that we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna unplug the factory valves. So there's like a little tab at the top of these valves. Super easy, you just push in and then pull out. So you can see, we just got the one done here. Going over to the other side and we're gonna repeat the same process. In order to remove the factory exhaust, you're gonna wanna head towards the front of the car and there is a cross beam that goes from left to right directly underneath your exhaust system. This cross beam is held together by two 13mm bolts on each side, but before you can get to it, you're going to need to remove a T25 Torx bit along with a plastic 10mm nut to get the lower splash guard out of the way to make enough clearance for the two 13mm bolts on that cross beam to come off. All right, so we're going to use the T25, guys. We're going to get this bolt off of here. There is a 10mm plastic nut that's holding this splash guard down. So Mark, it's over there now, removing that 10mm plastic nut. Once you remove that T25 and that 10mm nut, as you can see, you will be able to push down the splash guard and have enough clearance to access the two 13mm bolts holding the brace. Those two bolts are off now. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Bolts removed. So you guys can see that bracket is now free. Next, you're going to want to use a 13mm socket to remove the exhaust clamp holding the exhaust from the mid-pipe to the catback. There is one on the left side of the vehicle and one on the right side of the vehicle. Now that you separated the exhaust from the mid-pipes, the next step is to head towards the back of the car and identify the first hanger. Here's a pro tip for you. You want to use like a 7/16. And sorry if this is upside down, but I want to give you guys a visual. Use once you start prying against the exhaust, as you guys can see, the hanger comes off super easy.
The orange bushing.
Yep, that orange bushing. And just going to flip it up. And as you guys can see, I mean, we're pretty much out. Next, you're going to want to find the second hanger located on the driver's side closest to the center of the vehicle. As you guys can see, there is another hanger here on the inside. And it's kind of the same thing. What you want to do is you want to grab it here, and then you want to just push. And that should be out already. Maybe? No? So, let's see. Same thing. So you just push it. There it is. So with the exhaust completely removed from the mid-pipes and the hangers removed, next you're going to want to work your way towards the rear of the vehicle to begin removing the muffler assembly. Next, take a flathead screwdriver to pry off the clip holding the valve wiring harness to the exhaust hangers. Be very careful when doing this. Basically, you want to pry inside the little metal collar that's in here. Once you pry it, it should just pop off my hand. Once that's completed, you're going to want to head on to the other side and do the same thing. The last two things holding this exhaust is this hanger, and then we have the same hanger on the other side. Those are going to be 13 millimeter bolts. We're going to go ahead, take those two bolts, make sure you have an extra set of hands. You do not have to remove the diffuser. All you got to do is just carefully, once you get these two hangers off, just drop down the exhaust from the front of the vehicle and slide it back, and you should be able to clear this area here without having to remove the factory diffuser. All right, so Mark's going to go ahead, drop the exhaust down from the front. And again, since those things are loose already, all he has to do is just literally slide the clamps out of the way and the exhaust will come off. You're going to want a long extension here for this 13 millimeter. So we're going to go ahead, break it loose. What I like to do is leave this one here semi-loose, but don't remove the bolt all the way. Then start working the other one out as well. So we're going to go ahead, get this one here going. Unfortunately, the next part was super challenging to get on camera due to the fact that we needed to loosen up the remainder of those 13 millimeter bolts, plus hold the exhaust up with our hand while moving the exhaust away from the rear diffuser and ultimately off of the vehicle. Make sure that the car is raised high enough to be able to get the right clearance that you need in order to get the exhaust out. As you guys can see, the factory exhaust is completely off of the vehicle. Now on to the next step. Using a 10 millimeter socket, carefully remove the factory valve motors to transfer over to your new exhaust. The valve is off. So we're going to just pull the valve off here. So when you pull out the factory valves, as you guys can see, there is a spring in here. And we have to make sure when putting on the new valve that they go on the spring gets mounted in the same orientation. Mount it like this. That is the correct orientation. So this appears to be the same orientation now. It's a factory exhaust. We'll get the valve on. If the spring is not in the right orientation, it'll be really, really difficult to get this to go down. It should go down really, really easy once you have the right orientation of the spring. Then we're going to go ahead, same thing. Take that spring, there's like a little sleeve in there. Slide it in so it's in the right position. And then we're going to put this valve in. And as you guys can see, I mean, it literally slides in easy. As you can see, I went ahead and transferred the exhaust hangers. This gives you an idea on the orientation. And now we have this axle back piece ready to go back on the car. Obviously, it's hard for us to hold the camera and do things at the same time, so bear with us here. The first step you're going to want to do is install the cat back section, or I should say the axle back section. Basically, we just manned it up there and hooked up the two 13 millimeter bolts on each side. You're going to want to start in the rear of the car, but you're also going to want to make sure that you leave everything loose so that you can align everything in the end. But again, this is the only part that's super, super hard for us to get up there and hold the camera. So sorry we could not show you a picture of that process, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Next, we're going to work our way towards the front of the vehicle. So we're going to find the pipe that attaches to this point here, and also that rear hanger that we took out earlier. This is going to be the next piece that we're going to want to attach. That's where the hanger is going to go. So what I like to do is start off by clipping it onto the hanger. So we'll do that now. I don't know if you could see it, Mark, from there. Yep. All right, sweet. And then we're going to take this pipe here and we're going to attach it to the hanger. I'm going to have to reposition myself here. Oh, just get that clamp out of there for now before it becomes a nuisance. So again, I start off by clipping it onto the hanger. Get yourself a little grease and put it on the tip of this also, just so that it makes it easier to slide in. We almost got it in there. There we go. So now that that's in the hanger, what you're going to want to do is take this clamp. So that slides there. And again, what you want to do is you want to leave everything a little bit on the looser side so you can adjust these pipes later. Otherwise, good luck trying to align the exhaust, because once these things get clamped down, sometimes they're a nightmare to come off. So we'll grab that, Mark. I'm going to go ahead and connect the next pipe that's going to go attached to this one here. Sweet. That's going to go here. And then, which way do you think it goes? This way here?
Other way.
This way?
Yep.
All right, let's see if this fits in here now. That way?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do the same thing. We'll just leave the clamp in here, but not tighten it. All right, where's the hanger?
Right up into that orange bushing again.
All right, so as you guys can see, we got it right in that hanger now. And now we're ready to attach the mid pipes. As you can see, ECS supplies these mid pipe adapters. So if you have aftermarket mid pipes, you're going to want to use these adapters. There is another adapter in there. I honestly do not know for what type of mid pipe. Hold on, this came back a little too much. You got one on?
I got one side.
All right, so I just wanted to mention a couple of things here. As you start to tighten these clamps up, you want to make sure you go around everything. Make sure nothing touches. If anything, for whatever reason, is too close to either any suspension part or the rear differential, you might need to adjust it. So, just go through it, wiggle it a little bit, make sure you don't hear any noise, because the last thing you want to do is clamp everything all down, go down the road and have this thing like start to bang and make all sorts of weird noises. So be sure to make sure that you have enough clearance around all the pipes before you begin to tighten it. These clamps are a size 15. Last but not least, we're going to get that bracket back on there. All right, guys, now that that bracket is on, we can start bolting this splash guard back in. That was two 10 millimeters and a T25. Everything is all bolted down, ready to go. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of our DJI Mic 2 receivers. We're going to place it here in the rear of the vehicle. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get you guys a cold start sound. We'll give it a couple revs at idle with the valves closed. We're going to go ahead and put it in performance mode, which essentially opens up the valves completely. So you guys can hear it. That is now with the valves open. Sounds pretty good. We're going to go ahead and we're going to shut the valves off and we're going to go for a cruise. All right, so now we are going for a quick cruise around the neighborhood. This is with the valves completely closed. So what we're going to do next is we're going to open up the valves and cruise. That is now with the valves open and we are cruising. But anyway, guys, there you have it. We are going to go ahead now, close these valves back up. Super happy with this ECS cat bag. Really did not know what to expect. We are finishing off the drive, cruising with the valves fully closed. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please be sure to do so. Drop a comment below. Let us know what you think of the way that the car sounds now. Also, if you have any requests for additional sound tests, etc. with this exhaust, please feel free to drop those in the comment below. And as always, truly appreciate the love and support. Thanks for watching.